Yeah, go on then.
Morning people, welcome back to the channel. That intro there of that Mustang giving it the rum rum would have been one of my, let's have a look now, one of my last 5 US big V8 muscle cars that I had. That was at an American car show. I think it was around 4 years ago now. That was a 2011 5 litre GT. So I thought I'd use that to bring us into this post, which is all about the anti-side of EVs. And I get a lot of stick from a few of my watchers, good morning all, regarding what I say against petrol and diesel cars. Now I'm a petrol head, brought up as a petrol head. You know, I had 40 years in fossil fuel cars, and from that came the transition, I hate that word, came the transition over to EVs. I'm going to find it very, very difficult, but I will do it, and I'll do it purely because it's what's been asked for. And people say, like I say, I don't give enough time to the anti-side of electric cars. So here we go. My anti-EV video, my anti-EV post. Where do I start on this one? Well, to be honest, I can't really think of a massive list of things that make me anti-EV or what's wrong with the EV of today in mid-2021. The future of EVing is just mapped out. It's already there. And if you do not drive an electric car now, I would say that even if you're a pure petrol head who hates an EV, I'm going to give you 3 to 6 years and you will be driving an alternative fuel car. In that beginning shot, like I said, regarding that Mustang, I have no guilt of owning that big V8 and those big V8s, purely because I did what every other from teenage kid wanted to own, and that was a big powerful car that got in the way of the neighbours, woke them up at 6 in the morning, you know, cost a fortune to run, and you could always blast to your mates that's why you had it. Oh, your mileage was 14 to the gallon. If I go back 30 years ago, you know, if you said, oh, my mileage was 8 to the gallon, you're a hero, because it did less miles per gallon. Now we'd be looked upon and frowned upon as you being either a bit simple or something wrong with you mentally to spend all that doshamundo on fuel. Anyway, moving on, you may have noticed that I did actually then put in about 5 frames of EV-ness. And what I mean by that is that's stuff that I promote a lot on this channel, as a lot of you know, and that is that you know, the fossil fuel car is dead, long live EVs, and all the rest of it. So those 5 samples at the beginning, if you're a petrol head and you're watching my channel for the first time, it probably would have riled you if you'd have read them. What can I say wrong about the modern EV of 2021? Well, I'll start with the EVs from, let's say, 10 years ago, 11 years ago, and that was the first Nissan Leaf. That first Leaf would now be looked on as a bit of an embarrassment in the EV world, but at the time it was pioneering. For a major league car manufacturer to grab on to the EV side of car manufacturing was massive, and got to give that to the Japanese for doing that. There was a few in-betweeners. There was a Mitsubishi small ugly looking thing, but the Nissan Leaf to me was the first proper mainstream mass manufactured electric car, and for the first couple of years it was made in Japan. I don't know if that was a mistake or not, but it did seem that by about 2013 the Nissan Leaf had transgressed into being made in England, in Sunderland, and it was being made really well. So back why I'm going to shout and call that early Nissan Leaf, well, it was a bit of an embarrassment. It wasn't great regarding its distance and its range, being a 24 kilowatt battery pack. There was problems with them. There was no battery management system on them, and still isn't now on the Leaf. So looking back how bad that was, yeah, I could see why people didn't want an electric car. I would freely admit that I wouldn't have bought one back in the day. So that's my first bit of anti-EV. Was I interested in buying one 11 years ago, 12 years ago? No. So number two has got to be the range factor, and even my i3 that I've got now, on a good summer's day with the battery conditioned and it's all set to go on a nice warm 70-75 degree day, I would say that thing, the way I drive, will give me something in the region of about 125 to 130 mile on a full charge. And that gets me to the east coast of England, like I've proved on these other posts. And also, of course, I've got the backup of the range extender. So the range, that's a big one for me, and I can see why the Petrolheads are always the first to say charging it up and stopping, and I'll get straight there in 2 hours and you'll be 4 hours to get. No, I'm going to knock that straight on the head now about the range. Although you haven't got the range and it's a good 100 mile in mine, I've only got to charge it once, or top charge it after having a bit of a cold Coke, or a bit of a McDonald's cob. I get on an Instavolt charger, and within kind of like, I don't know, 15 minutes, I've got another 40 mile in there. So that gets me then to my destination charger using a top up. Well, here we are at Instavolt charge point. 1, 2, 3, 4, and obviously that one's in use, and we've stopped off. There's no need to, we would have got probably home, but 67%. I came in at 40%, so I've gained 27% of battery already, got 27 miles added, and all I did was go into Starbucks and get 2 regular decaf lattes. So there we are, charging up, let it do its thing. So range is always been a bit of a devil for me, and I know it's a devil for the Petrolhead, and I know in these forums I'm the one who gets shouted at saying, oh, your range, you'll be stopping. Like, it's bull. I'm only picking on the range because at the moment I can seriously only afford an EV that can do that range. Now I could sell that thing, put an extra 4 grand to it, and get an ex-demo E208 Peugeot E. Good looking car, but it will not do the 200 mile, and I think that's the key for a lot of people. That 200 mile is the key, and until they get to 200 mile range, I do believe a lot of you people watching this who haven't got an EV will back off and think, no, I need it to do a 200 mile, that's my economy, or even 250 to some people. Any more than that, and I think you don't really need it. Even if you was a rep, right? Put yourself on the range of a rep, doing say 300 mile a day, okay, or 400 mile a day. A guy's got to stop for some lunch, he's got to stop for a drink, he's got to stop to go to see the loo. So while he's doing that, that's time when he bangs it on a 30-minute, rapid charge, and near enough fills his tank again with electric. So there's no excuse really not to use them. But the range is one of my hates of EVs at the moment for the price, and that is that you are restricted to about 150, 160 tops for anything around the 25 to 30,000 pound range, unless you buy used. The big hole in the ground, and again this is used against me and against anybody supporting EVs in any forums, on anything you say, on anything on Facebook or YouTube or anything, and you get this, oh, the mining, it's like, it's just disgusting what it does to the world, you get this big hole and blah 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 and all that, oh, it's terrible. Hold on people, let's just spin it round. I kind of semi-agree with that, but that hole's done, what happens to it? It naturally normally fills with water to the water base level, And then what happens? You get growth in there, you get green growth, you get tadpoles, you get frogs, you get birds coming from above, you get fish, you get life. So after that big hole in the ground looks disgusting and it naturally fills with water and comes up to the normal water table, you've just bought yourself a lovely looking waterway for water birds and water life. Try doing that with petrol. Try drilling for oil and do the same. I suggest you look at Alberta in Canada and see the mess in the so-called cesspools of the oil industry that's left. Now, regarding the holes as well and how it comes out the hole, I also still in this day and age get all these young kids at 7 years of age. Now, I don't hate the EV industry for that. I did, and it was a thing that pissed me off because it was one or two genuine stories where there were small children in the Congo being used in mining. And that was when it was, I'm going back, wow, at least 6, maybe 8 years ago now, when that was first spoke about. And that was very wrong. But no more than your laptop or your phone that you're using now, yeah, to watch this. Probably came out the same hole. Probably dug by the same Congolese children. But because it went into an EV, you despised it and it was wrong. But when it went to your laptop or your phone or anything else that you power around and your camera and God knows what you've got in your pocket at the moment needs batteries, it was alright. Nothing was ever said. Lithium and your cobalt. Weird that, isn't it? Does peeve me? It did peeve me. Now I know that's virtually stopped. And the majority of cobalt and lithium mining is all done in Australia. That's your biggest place. There's no child labour out there. It's all very much done on health and safety. It's all done legit. And even in Congo now and parts of Africa, that has brought them wealth, may I add. Local families that get employment from that get paid instead of starving and living on the breadline. So let's put it in perspective now. And so don't give me this argument about EVs being terrible when you're still using petrol and oil products in mass production. Okay, my next anti-establishment or anti-view of EVs, and I'm really digging at very small things here because I find it very difficult to knock the electric car and the electric car industry and all it stands for as regards environmental. But the other thing I will say is possibly price. Now I know that there's people out there who cannot afford a new EV. I can't afford a new EV unless I spend all my money and have nothing left in my savings account and nothing for my future retirement, which is only in a couple of years. So I have to be careful like everybody else, and so I can't go out and spend 40 grand on the Mackie. I'd love a Mackie. Can I afford the 40 grand that they are? No, not really. Not really. Can I afford a Peugeot 208e X Demo? Possibly just. Yeah. But it doesn't do what I want it to do, and that's that magical on the can. This car will do 200 mile at any time of year. So basically it needs to do about 245, 250 mile in the summer, which will then knock down to around just over 200 in the winter, because that winter thing does take its toll. So price is another thing for me, and I can understand, and again it's something else that I get kicked in the ass for in forums. Oh, you think you're posh because you've got an electric car, or we ain't all wealthy as you and all the rest of it. No, I'm a working class guy who came from an English council estate. I'm no better than anyone else. I've got a mundane job. I'm on average to decent wage, and I work for everything I've got. So that outside to me is what I work for, and everybody watching this has exactly the same opportunity. So don't have a crack at me on your forums and posts about electric cars are too pricey and they're only for the rich. I'm not rich. Jeez, I wish I was rich. I wouldn't be sitting in this summer house now doing this for you if I was rich. I'd be doing a very similar thing with a production company around me, talking about the top end EVs, like the brand new Hummer at £120,000 or the Rivian pickup for $90,000, and I wouldn't be doing this for me as much as I love doing it, and for you who's watching it. So when it comes to price, I totally agree, and I get it, and it is one of my pet hates about electric vehicles. But saying that, when people are going out and buying a big diesel car, big diesel engine, personal transportation vehicle, be it an Audi or a BMW, at, wow, I mean in England what we're looking at, 50k, 60k's worth of Audi. For that money you can get an excellent EV, which will do exactly the same as that Audi or BMW diesel can do. Maybe not tow as much, and again I have done one on towing, and if you want to know about towing with EVs, check my post out, it is on there. So that kind of like brings us up to price. So I've done the hole in the ground, I've done the price, I've done the fact of range is a bit of a pain in the ass at the moment, for the price you get. They all kind of connect, don't they? The price, the range, you know, and everything else. They all connect to the one thing, and that is that companies are getting better and better and better. And this is not every year. This is getting better month by month. I'm going to take the hat off now. It's getting a bit warm. All the air I've got keeps me really hot. Back to my last one, maybe, of my EV hate posts. And that is hybrids, conventional hybrids, such as Toyotas, Hondas, and I believe there's other jumped on since then. Hey ho, conventional hybrids that run a 1.5, 1.6 or 2 litre engine in the front. Now this very small battery pack underneath, and it gets classed as an electric car. They are not. Once you get over, say, let's say 26 to 28 miles an hour, 30 definitely, that battery pack is doing nothing but getting a trickle charge from what is a big fossil fuel engine in the front, still having the same pollution as that car next to you that's not a hybrid, especially when you're going down the motorway at 55, 65, 75 mile an hour for miles upon miles. It's only when you step back off the throttle and you go into a car park or a town where you're doing speeds less than 30 mile an hour that battery pack might come back on, but it will only stay on for an amount of time until it depletes. And then the fossil fuel has to come on to trickle it again. So this is where the self-charging rubbish comes from. Would I buy a car for a bit of a weekend warrior thing, just to go to the odd show? Yeah, possibly. But because I haven't bought any car parts or spent anything on my electric cars for the last 2 years, nearly 3 years, it worries me buying a fossil fuel car. Now I've got to buy brake pads and oil, and oil filters, and oh god, just exhausts, and wow, spark plugs, and whoa, it's a worry to me to actually buy the car and then think I'm going to start spending money on it. And it's like a money pit. You keep chucking at it, going nowhere. Wow, I can't get me around some of these young kids who are buying cars to do up now, and why bother? Because the values on them are going to fall like Billy-O. No one's going to want them. You know, and fuel's even going to go through the roof sooner or later, because that commodity is not going to be wanted. So it's going to become a premium product. You'll pay for that. I work with some fossil fuel freaks at work who have a go at me every single day for even driving an electric car, because all they've known is doing that and watching those numbers go round. Yeah, it's costing me a fortune. Oh well, don't matter, it's only petrol, don't matter, it's only diesel, and then you're going to burn it up and pollute the world. I'll just carry on going for another 5 minutes and watching those figures hit to £100 to fill me tank. Suckers! Suckers! Come on. Anyway, that's it. I've had enough, I'm done. Thank you to all my subscribers. I won't say please subscribe. Yes I will. Please subscribe. And then I will see you on the next post. Happy days people, look after each other.